Tout le monde et bienvenue. Mon nom est Dale Alexander. Je suis attachée de presse à la Banque du Canada. Il fera plaisir au gouverneur Carney de répondre à vos questions pendant environ 20 minutes. Avant de poser votre question, on vous demandera de vous identifier, donc votre nom ainsi que l'agence pour laquelle vous travaillez, puisqu'on est en train de télédiffuser cette conférence de presse. Vous verrez mon collègue Jeremy ici, il a un microphone. S'il vous plaît, juste lui faire signe si vous voulez poser une question. Si on peut les garder à une question et puis un suivi rapide, ça serait très apprécié pour qu'on puisse faire le tour de la pièce. Donc, c'est bien sûr, le gouverneur serait heureux de répondre à vos questions dans la langue officielle de votre choix. So, he will answer questions in the language of your choice, as long as you identify yourself, please, and the association for which you work. The governor is now ready to take your questions.
Juste là.
Ouais, Monsieur Carney, le ministre des Finances, Jim Flaherty, a récemment exprimé que le précipice fiscal, si ce n'était pas réglé aux États-Unis, il y aurait des conséquences sérieuses pour le Canada. Est-ce que vous partagez cet avis-là?
Oui, cette situation aux États-Unis est sérieuse. Je recommence. C'est pas possible. Ça vaut mieux?
Le son, ça va bien?
Pardon. OK, je recommence. Il y a une question sur les commentaires du ministre des Finances du Canada en ce qui concerne la précipice budgétaire. C'était ça, oui. Oui. Alors, cette situation aux États-Unis est sérieuse. Si les autorités américaines ne le réglaient pas, l'économie américaine serait presque sûrement en récession l'année prochaine. Alors, c'est clair que avec une chute rapide de la croissance américaine, il y aurait des problèmes ou des difficultés pour l'économie canadienne. Économie canadienne, je m'excuse. Mais comme le ministre des Finances a souligné hier, le gouvernement du Canada a des options. Et bien sûr, la Banque du Canada a des options aussi. Et nous, en ce qui concerne la banque, nous pourrions réagir rapidement dans une situation difficile aux États-Unis. Mais finalement, il faut le dire que on s'attend à ce que les autorités américaines règlent cette situation pendant les prochaines semaines. Mais mot final, je m'excuse, mot final. Nous n'avons pas de renseignements spécial. Nous sommes comme les autres individus, sociétés, banques centrales, gouvernements à l'échelle du monde qui s'intéressent aux délibérations américaines.
Vincent Maisonneuve de Radio-Canada. Toujours sur le précipice fiscal américain, est-ce que c'est présentement la principale menace auquel est confrontée l'économie canadienne?
À ce moment-ci, oui. À ce moment-ci, parce que c'est un grand risque et c'est un risque presque immédiat. Comme vous le savez, je suis sûr, l'impact commencera le 1er janvier dans une situation où les autorités américaines ne bougent pas. Mais on verra. Mais surtout, à ce moment-ci, la crise européenne, c'est encore difficile, mais c'est encore continu. Et les difficultés en Chine, ou pas les difficultés, mais le ralentissement de l'économie chinoise, il semble que cette économie commence à réaccélérer un peu, comme prévu par la banque dans le dernier RPM.
Governor, it's
Yeah.
Nirmala Menon from Dow Jones. Couple of questions. I'm going to ask them all at once. We had some poor housing starts data this morning, and I'm wondering, is there a danger that the housing market is in risk of overcorrecting as a result of the recent measures that were taken at a time when the economy is slowing? And my second question is recent data. I'm thinking GDP for August, employment, and third, the net exports figures for third quarter. Do they put downward risk on your third quarter forecast for growth? And does it make rate hikes even less imminent than you said they were 2 weeks ago?
Now you're stretching. On the housing starts, obviously they are slower than they were, but they're still running above demographic demand, or household formation to be more precise. We view household formation as around 190,000 annualized, and the starts are a little north of 200. So they've slowed from a very rapid pace to a pace that's still above household formation. That's the first point. The second point, we still see, as we highlighted in the NPR, that housing starts, particularly multiples, condos, are well above historic averages, even adjusting for population. And then I remind you that in our forecast, we're expecting this decreased contribution from housing, housing relative to GDP, very clearly spelled out in the report, and in fact, a negative, actually drag from the housing sector on growth from now, and so we're starting to see some things that are consistent with that. So it's entirely consistent with expectations. You can't have a sector. It's very unlikely you'll have a sector that's going to grow faster than GDP forever, or else it's going to occupy all of GDP. With respect to broader data, third quarter, as we have a relatively weak forecast for the third quarter at 1%. And broadly, data is broadly in line with that. There are some timing issues that drive some of the output in the energy sector, which shifts some growth between the third and the fourth quarter. That still seems to be in line, but I wouldn't overinterpret recent data, and I certainly wouldn't draw any connection to our monetary stance.
Peter Ray from the Canadian Press. You were asked about it in French, but it's the topic du jour, as they say. The fiscal cliff. I know you're watching it, but how far does it have to go before you have to take some action on it?
As you know, Peter, it exists in order to incentivize action. I mean, the reason they're in this situation is so that they wouldn't be in the situation. I mean, in theory, not the first time that theory was put to the test and found failing, but a 4% swing, for some people think higher, we'll say 4 is our view, swing on GDP, which could be amplified by confidence effects, is serious and not to be trifled with, and we expect that the American authorities on both sides of the House and certainly the administration are going to be very engaged in this. As I said earlier in French, I guess, we don't have any special information or insight here. But there are scenarios that one can paint where it's not resolved until it actually happens, and those are political tactics, and we'll leave it to the politicians to determine how to do it. But we watch it closely. It would matter. We have options if it were to if the U.S. were to persistently go over the fiscal cliff. It's a poor metaphor. Normally, once you go over a cliff, you can't crawl yourself back. In this case, they could. But if they were to persistently go over it, that could well have implications for policy here in Canada. But the good news is that Canadian authorities have flexibility, as both the Minister of Finance and I outlined.
What period are you? You have options, but I'm sure you're going to have to act at a certain moment.
Well, now we're getting into the hypothetical on the hypothetical, so we won't. We'll say I'll come back. Come back in the new year. We can discuss it. Thanks.
Brian Daly from QMI, Governor. I wanted to push forward on this point on the effect that going over this cliff would have on the Canadian economy. Can you give us some specifics for those out there? What effect would it have?
Well, the impact is a couple-fold. One is the adjustment of taxes. Basically, President Bush's era tax cuts would come off across all income levels, which would one would expect to have an impact, obviously, on consumer spending and on housing investment. Now, the U.S. housing market has been recovering. That's one of the positives. I should say, as a point of context here, is that the U.S. economy continues to heal itself. It's a slow, steady progress. And particularly in the U.S. household sector, there's been, by our estimation, about 3/4 of their lost wealth has now been rebuilt. We're starting to see the impact of that on things like the housing market in the United States, which has accelerated from very low levels of, say, 500,000 starts to around just under 900,000 starts right now. One would expect, in the event of this the fiscal cliff happening, that progress would at least be stopped, if not reversed. Those are the types of sectors that are particularly important for the Canadian economy. So the impact would be felt through the export side, which is under pressure anyways in Canada, and it would also potentially be felt through broader confidence effects, including on business investment, and that would be the final point I would make, which obviously one of the things that appears to be happening already, and obviously would be reinforced if they went over this cliff, but what appears to be happening already is that the level of policy uncertainty in the United States, in particular uncertainty around this issue, is impacting business investment in the United States. And if they transparently fumbled this issue, then one would expect that there could be broader impact on business investment in Canada. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rudy Lecourt, la presse. Je vais parler de votre discours cette fois-ci. Vous avez fait allusion à un levier simple qui est importé, qui est Made in Canada. J'aimerais ça que vous nous rappeliez. Est-ce qu'on est à 12, 15, 18? Et dans un deuxième temps, je voudrais aussi que vous nous disiez, l'an dernier, vous étiez très inquiet que l'amélioration du bilan des banques se fasse strictement par une réduction d'actifs et non pas par une augmentation du capital. Est-ce que vous observez toujours qu'on procède davantage par réduction d'actifs ou vous trouvez que les banques, en particulier les banques européennes, parviennent à se capitaliser suffisamment pour finalement sortir l'Europe de la récession?
OK. Bonne question. En ce qui concerne la première, oui, le ratio ou le cap au Canada pour le leverage, le ratio de levier, c'est 20. Mais ça, c'est une cap, une vraie cap, un maximum. Alors, par conséquent, normalement, des banques canadiennes opèrent ou fonctionnent avec une ratio de levier environ 17-18. Ensuite, ou de plus, le BSIF, de temps en temps, met en œuvre une ratio plus bas en deux cas. Pour les banques, pour les petites banques, ou pour les banques, les grandes banques, s'il en a des difficultés de gestion de risque, par exemple. Il y a des circonstances. Alors, en effet, ici au Canada, c'est environ 17-18. Le minimum probable à l'échelle nationale sera plus élevé que ça. Mais ce sera la décision de le BSIF, mais je suis confiant que le BSIF va garder le même niveau ici au Canada. Votre deuxième question, c'est très importante. Et comme vous l'avez suggéré, ça dépend. Ça dépend en région. Ici au Canada, c'est comme je l'ai mentionné dans le discours, nos banques ont agrandi leurs fonds propres d'environ 67 milliards de dollars. Et en même temps, elles ont agrandi leurs actifs assez rapidement. Et on peut le voir dans le secteur des ménages canadiens. En Europe, il y avait une forte augmentation de fonds propres, mais en même temps, une forte réduction des actifs. Pas une forte réduction. Le commencement, probablement, d'une forte réduction des actifs. À ce moment-ci, les banques européennes ont réduit les actifs à l'étranger, par exemple, les actifs de l'échange, de la finance, de l'échange, trade finance, en Asie. Encore, en ce moment-ci, ce n'est pas un grand problème parce qu'il y a des capacités des banques asiatiques, par exemple, qui maintenant fournissent la finance de l'échange en Asie.
Donc, on a peut-être le temps pour une question supplémentaire. One or two? Okay.
Well, monsieur?
Greg Quinn, Bloomberg.
Ah, oui.
Bonjour. A lot of questions about the U.S., but I'm wondering, China has been getting a lot of attention in recent years for its role in global policy, in particular with its currency. You know, given the extended period of weak global demand and, of course, the U.S. election that could lead to a reassessment of political policies, is it a good moment now for China to rethink how fast it allows its currency to move?
Well, I would answer that in a broader sense. It's clearly a moment. What's happening in the global economy, I would think, reinforces the predisposition of the Chinese authorities to rebalance their economy, to rebalance it more towards domestic consumption, less emphasis on the export sector, less emphasis on particularly state-owned enterprise or municipal-driven investment. I mean, this is an economy that is unbalanced, and I think the current five-year plan recognizes that. So that's a clear objective. There is a huge suite of policy measures, including financial sector reform and other factors, building social safety nets, a variety of things that they need to do in order to have this rebalancing. Continued progress, and I would emphasize continued progress because there has been progress on the flexibility of the RMB, but continued progress on that over a reasonable time frame would help with that rebalancing and is in China's interest. But I wouldn't simplify a very important rebalancing process to just one policy variable.
With the last NPR mentioned that your forecast is for household debt-to-income ratios to stabilize at the end of your projection. Can you talk a little bit more about where the risks are on that stabilizing? Is it on the income side or on the debt side?
I think that, we have a fairly modest outlook for the growth of disposable income. We don't disclose it, but it's not. We don't have a sharp increase in the growth of disposable income, and you see some of that in our implied consumption forecast, our forecast for household consumption, which is growing roughly at 2% over the forecast horizon. So modest growth in consumption. And so I wouldn't say we would think that there's there's a lot of downside risk to the income side since it's relatively modest. So the risk, if I follow your question, I think your risk is, could it not stabilize, the debt ratio not stabilize and continue to go up, and why would that happen? Is that right? Yeah, so in our forecast, the reason it would less likely to happen is because borrowing continues, including home equity extraction and financing of renovation or other things through that. But I would emphasize what we emphasized in the report, which is that the risks around household debt and household finances are two-sided. And so, steps have been taken, and those steps by the federal government, OSFI and others, have been taken to slow the rate of growth and achieve this stabilization. And there's sort of conflicting signs that they're working. There is the possibility that it decelerates much more rapidly than we expect, and obviously we're watching that carefully, and we'll update our views on that as they change.
La dernière question ici.
Sylvain Larocque de la presse canadienne. Je voulais juste vous demander, vous savez, le mois dernier, le gouvernement du Québec a décidé d'augmenter les impôts pour les gens qui gagnent plus de 130 000 $. Les gens d'affaires se sont inquiétés de ces mesures-là en disant que ça pourrait avoir des impacts négatifs sur l'économie. Quel genre d'impact vous anticipez sur l'économie du Québec de ces mesures-là?
La Banque, heureusement, la Banque ne fait pas des projections provinciales. Alors, je ne peux pas répondre à votre question avec de précision. Mais je peux dire que dans un contexte difficile mondial, avec beaucoup d'incertitudes, il y a l'incertitude sur la falaise budgétaire, le précipice budgétaire, pardon. Il y a une certitude sur la situation européenne, il y a une certitude chinoise. Ça vaut mieux d'avoir la certitude dans la politique. Now, c'est la responsabilité de la Banque du Canada de fournir la certitude en ce qui concerne l'inflation ici au Canada, et nous allons continuer de mettre en œuvre une politique monétaire afin d'avoir un taux d'inflation bas, stable et prévisible, comme toujours. Mais c'est la responsabilité des gouvernements, soit provincial ou soit fédéral.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Bonne journée.
Bonne journée.